Hi everyone, I'm going to take a look at the new Champions League Player of the Week selection. I've already done a video yesterday for the regular Player of the Week selection, so that's available on the channel if you want to have a look at that one. I've also started putting up videos of new player faces that came with the update yesterday. I've done the English and Italian leagues, so those videos are also there if you want to have a look at them. There'll be a few more to come as well because there are a lot of new faces, and I'll be reviewing some of the other packs soon as well because we've got lots of packs to look at. But for this pack, as always, I'll put timestamps in the description for each player. So if there's a particular player you want to hear about, just click on the description and there'll be a link to take you straight to them. But let's take a look at who we've got. So, got one 4-star player this time. It's Path from Real Madrid. So, I'm not going to talk for too long about this guy because he's just not really very good. Obviously, he's a 4-star, but he's not even a good 4-star. Looking at the attributes, the pace is alright. He's not brilliant on the ball. Passing is pretty decent. That's the one real strength he's got. But elsewhere, there's not really a lot going on. You look at the skills. They've given him, I think, long-range shooting, and they've made him a super sub, which is nice. Already got one-touch passing, through passing. So, like I say, his passing is pretty nice. But yeah, I think overall, some nice skills, and he's got okay pace and decent passing, but there's just not enough quality overall, really. It's not a great card, so I think, to be honest, if you're a Real Madrid fan, it'd be a nice one to have to add to your Real Madrid squad, maybe. But beyond that, I don't think it's great. So then we have Ziyech from Galatasaray. So the only thing that's not great about this card is that they've not really changed him from other versions. They've not changed his playing style or really given him any skills or anything. It's just another version of Ziyech. But on the plus side, Ziyech is pretty good. The main quality you get from Ziyech is his end product when it comes to creating goals because his passing and crossing are fantastic. Low pass 88, he's got through passing, but also 91 for lofted pass, 93 for curl, 87 kicking power, and he's got pinpoint crossing. This guy's crossing is elite. He's got a deadly crossing. As I say, he's got through passing. He's also got long range shooting. And he's got dipping shot as well. With finishing only 72, I wouldn't be asking too much from him with his shooting, but you could pop up with a goal here and there for you. He's pretty tidy on the ball, decent pace. The one real downside with the attributes of Ziyech is that physically he's not the strongest. He's not got a lot of strength with the physical contact, but also the balance is never great with him, and stamina likewise isn't brilliant. So you have to keep your eye on the balance and stamina. But beyond that, like I say, it's the end product with Ziyech. You can play him wide right, he's quick enough. You can play him SS, you can play him AMF, you can play him wide left as a wide left forward. And like I say, that crossing is deadly. So he's versatile. He's got a few different ways you could play him. I would not play him centre mid because he's defensively atrocious. But yeah, every other position you could put him there. And like I say, decent pace, tidy on the ball, but it's that passing and crossing. He's really potent. He's got end product. He will make goals for you. I've got a couple of versions of him which I do like myself. So yeah, if you've not tried him before and you get him from this pack, I'll give him a go because you might like him. I think it's a pretty good card. And we have Joao Mario from Benfica. So he's down as left midfield. I think he got a hat trick in the Champions League. Maybe he's about against Inter, possibly. Correct me if I'm wrong. His former club as well. But yeah, they've gone down as left midfield, but not a lot of pace. I don't think you'd want to use this guy out wide. He's not quick enough. So you're looking at playing him as an attack midfielder. I think he's not strong enough to defensively to be a centre mid really, unless you've got one or two defences behind him. But if you've got one or two defensive midfielders, you're going to want to probably make him an attacking mid regardless. And that's his normal position. But the one real positive with this card comes from his play style because normally he's a classic 10. They've made him a roaming flank. So roaming flank, if you play him out wide, he'll be drifting around into the middle, making some interesting runs, taking up some interesting positions. But like I say, I don't think you're going to want to play him there. So if you play him as an attacking midfielder where he normally plays, being a roaming flank, his play style won't be active anymore, which I think is much better than being a classic 10. So what that means is he will actually make some runs forward and get into better positions. He's got attacking when it's 80, which is decent as well. So very nice in the ball, pretty decent passing as well. Like I say, not the quickest, he's not the strongest physically, but if you're okay with that, technically he's pretty strong. And when you look at the skills, the key ones, one touch passing, through passing, weighted pass as well, outside curl is nice. First time shot is what they've added as well, so if he does get into good attacking positions, that one could help. Finishing 77 is not too bad, so yeah, like I say, you've got to be mindful of the fact he's not the quickest or strongest, but technically it's pretty sound, so I think as an AMF, this could be a pretty nice card to pick up. Then we have Pepi from PSV. So, like a lot of strikers that we've had in recent Player of the Month and Player of the Week packs, he's one of these strikers who's got good awareness and good finishing. Probably the two most important attributes for a striker, but he's just not got a lot going on elsewhere. He's not great on the ball. He's not great at passing. He's not got great pace. He's not great in terms of his physical strength or his aerial strength. Balance is poor. There's not a lot going on really. It's a bit of a shame. When you look at his skills, they have given him first time shot and one touch pass. I think those are the two that they've added. And they are crucial skills for a striker to have, to be fair. So if you like Pepi, if you've got a version already, this would be a big upgrade for you just based on those skills. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, he's got heading and acrobatic finishing, jumping, physical contact, and heading all in the 70s, but still not brilliant. He's just kind of okay all around with good awareness and finishing. So if you want a striker who's literally just going to get into the right positions and finish chances, could be effective for you. But I think most of us like a striker to offer us a little bit more than that, and he just doesn't really. So it's not a great card for me. Then we have Isaksen from Lazio. So we've got a wide man, right-footed. As you can see, there's the real strength. He's got great pace, 90 speed, 95 acceleration, balance is decent at 80, got very good dribbling at 87. Outside of that, though, nothing great. You know, the awareness isn't great, ball control isn't great, low pass is poor at 70, lofted pass at 78 isn't too bad, finishing likewise 77, not too bad. You look at the skills, he's got long range curler, dipping shot, rising shot, acrobatic finishing, first time shot. So he can shoot. His finishing attributes not too bad. So he can take chances. Being right-footed with long range curler, I think his best position is probably going to be wide left, to be honest. Cutting inside onto his right foot. He doesn't have pinpoint crossing, so I don't think you're going to get too much out of him playing on the right, putting crosses in. But yeah, like I say, wide left I think might be his best position. He's also got one touch pass and through passing, but all they're going to do is compensate for the fact that his low pass is poor at 70. So 70 is poor with one touch pass and through passing. His passing still won't be great. Won't be quite as poor. Super sub is a nice one, especially for a pacey wide man. So second half, you need a goal. Could be one you could bring on wide left with that pace and the ability to cut inside and shoot. Could be pretty effective. So yeah, I think for some people it could be a pretty neat, pretty effective card, especially Lazio fans. But it's nothing special. Like I say, great pace. He's got the dribbling and he can finish, but he's not quite. For a 5-star card, I don't think he's brilliant. Quality's there, but I don't think he's one to get excited about. Then we have Goretzka. So the cards are starting to get a bit interesting now, because this card for me, they've made him a build-up centre-back. So obviously he's normally a midfielder. They've made him a centre-back build-up play style. So the first thing to ask is, can he play centre-back? You've got to look at the attributes. Defensive awareness 80. No, he can't. That's not high enough, clearly. So for me personally, I would never risk someone with 80 defensive awareness at centre-back. I would write him off as centre-back straight away just on that basis. But then you look at his other positions. He's got his usual positions still. Obviously, he's got DMF, CMF, AMF. If you assess him in those positions, AMF, well, he's pretty tidy on the ball. Great low pass at 90. The defensives are a nice bonus as an attacking midfielder, but they don't matter too much there. Pace is average. Physical contact's great. Balance not so great. He's not really built as an attacking midfielder. He could probably do a job for you there if you really needed someone, especially if you want someone quite physical there for whatever reason. Attacking awareness quite low though, so yeah, could maybe do a job AMF, but not the best. CMF, in terms of the technicals, the defensive, everything seems great, to be honest, as a CMF. But the stamina at 81 is a big problem. So you could use him as a centre midfielder, but you're going to have to sub him off in the second half. Or you could maybe just use him as a substitute, bring one second half as a centre midfielder. He could be very effective there, but like I say, only under certain circumstances, and that's going to be based on his stamina primarily. But we'll come to his final position, DMF. I've left that to last because that's where he's most effective for me. As a DMF, you start with the defensives, 80 plus all of them, good. So he's strong defensively. Down the left for a defensive midfielder, really good on the ball and with his passing. And then down the right, the pace is okay for a defensive midfielder. Not great, but could be worse. Physical contact is fantastic at 92. Not great balance, but he's a big, strong guy. You expect that. Stamina 81. Not brilliant, but you could put defensive on him as a defensive midfielder if he's just going to protect your defense, and that won't be an issue. You look at the skills, they've added man marking and aerial superiority. So for a guy who's about 6'2", he's got great physical contact, heading and aerial superiority. He should be able to win a few balls in the air in the middle of the park, which is pretty handy, especially from goal kicks. Man marking and interception, very important skills, very helpful for a defensive midfielder. One touch pass obviously is great. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting card. I think, like I say, centre back, I wouldn't risk it. I would never risk him at centre-back with his defensive awareness so low. Attacking midfield, if you're desperate, he could do a job. But I think as a centre midfielder, if you accept he's not going to be able to play the whole game, but especially as a defensive midfielder, I think this could be a really effective card. I think it's a nice one. I'd be quite pleased if I get this guy, to be honest. But yeah, on the whole, I think that's a really good card. Then we have Nick Pope. So I'm a bit biased on this one. He was brilliant for us in Paris. The referee wasn't, but we don't need to talk about that. So the first thing I'll say here, they just keep doing this on goalkeepers in these recent Player of the Month, Player of the Week packs. Jumping 61. I don't know what happened recently that meant that Nick Pope doesn't know how to jump anymore, because as far as I'm aware, he can still jump, but apparently they've decided that he couldn't jump when he was in Paris. So 61 for jumping is scary, but he is about 8 feet tall. He's a massive guy. He's got very good awareness. Reflexes and reach both 90. For a guy who's as tall as he is, to have the reflexes and the awareness and really high reach, that's impressive. He's going to be hard to get past. And the catching and parrying are all right as well. So, to be honest, if you can see past the fact his jumping's horrendous, I mean, I don't think you're going to find too much of an issue with that. People don't try lob shots that often. Yeah, I don't think it'll matter too much. And he is a very tall guy. I would be focusing on these attributes. So it's hard to completely ignore the jumping being terrible. But for a guy who's as tall as he is, with all these strong attributes, especially the reach, I think this could be a brilliant shot stopper. And the only other thing to mention is they changed it from attacking goalkeeper to defensive goalkeeper. So might bother some people. It doesn't bother me too much, but worth mentioning. But yeah, can't jump to save his life for some bizarre reason, but looks like a brilliant shot stopper. So I think it's a pretty good card on the whole. Then we have Tomiyasu. So our friend Tomiyasu is now an attacking right back. And it's an interesting one because you look at the attributes, the way they're all kind of weighted, they've kind of made him a defensive fullback with the attacking fullback playing style. It's quite interesting. So we'll just start with the skills, what they're giving him. They're giving him pinpoint crossing and also weighted pass, low lofted pass. So he should be able to deliver a decent cross, some nice passing. Heading and air superiority he's already got, so he's strong in the air. Interception and sliding tackle are nice for a fullback. 188, he's 6'2", so yeah, he's going to be physically strong and decent in the air, especially for a fullback. You can still play him as a centre back. I wouldn't personally. I don't think his defensive attributes are quite good enough, and I think you can probably train his base card to be a better centre back. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah, I've got his base card and I've also got the legendary one, which is as ridiculous as a centre back. So I think it'd be a bit of a waste to play this guy as a centre back. I think this card is definitely built for right back. But yeah, for a right back, big, strong. The pace is not brilliant, but it's certainly not bad. I think the pace is okay. Stamina likewise is pretty decent. Very, very strong defensively for a fullback. Down the left, he's not brilliant on the ball, but he's not terrible either. Just be careful with him. And likewise with the passing, low pass, not brilliant, 76. Don't try any Hollywood passes, obviously. But lofted pass at 80s, it's okay for a fullback. It's actually decent for a fullback, to be fair. And he's got that pinpoint crossing. So yeah, like I say, it's an interesting one because if you use him as an attacking fullback, you're looking at the middle column thinking, okay, he's an all right attacking fullback, but with really good defensive attributes. If you use him as a defensive fullback, that's the one. I think that's how he's going to be the most effective. If you like defensive fullbacks, I think what you want to do with this guy, just play him at right back, but put the defensive instruction on him, and then he'll probably play like a defensive fullback. He won't be bombing forward so much. So then you will have a really good defensive fullback. So yeah, I think either way, you could have yourself a pretty nice attacking right back, or if you put that defensive instruction on him, you could have a really strong defensive fullback as well. So it's a pretty strong card. Then we have Hermoso from Atletico Madrid. So normally a build-up, made him a destroyer. Defensive attributes for centre-back, pretty strong. Not amazing, but pretty strong. Thankfully, they seem to have stopped giving really low defensive engagement to centre-backs. I hope I've not tempted fate by saying that. Pace is decent for a centre-back. Jumping 83 is not too bad. 184, so he's about 6 foot. Jumping 83, he's not going to be amazing. He does have aerial superiority, though, so he should be okay. Physical contact 80. In terms of his attributes, that's the only real concern for me. 80 physical contact for me is not brilliant for a centre-back. That does concern me a bit. It's not disastrously low, but it's not as high as I'd like it to be. Stamina is decent for a centre-back. Down the left there, he's okay on the ball for a centre-back. Passing is actually quite nice for a centre-back. Looking at his skill set, as I mentioned his passing, he's also got weighted pass and low lofted pass. So I think his passing will be pretty nice. They're giving him acrobatic finishing, lovely. And again, as I mentioned, heading and air superiority, so he should be pretty strong in the air. But in terms of his skills, the crucial thing is they've given him interception. Hermoso doesn't usually have interception, and that's a crucial skill for a centre-back. So if you like Hermoso, this is the best version that you'd have been able to get so far. He's already got man-marking blocker. They've added acrobatic clearance as well. On the whole, he's got a really strong selection of skills for a centre-back. And as I mentioned, strong defensive attributes there. The pace is decent. Passing's nice. The only real weakness is the physical contact being a bit low, and that does concern me. So yeah, that's the one thing. The physical contact, you've got to keep that in mind. That is the downside. Yeah, I think you will notice that, and he's not the tallest. But outside of that, he does have a lot of qualities. So on the whole, I think it's a pretty nice card as a centre back. And just to quickly touch on the fact he can play left back, I don't think he's good enough technically to do that, and he's not got much pace. So I think you can forget that. But yeah, as a centre back, physically a little bit lacking, but otherwise a pretty strong card. And then we have Cancelo from Barca. So first thing to mention, they've changed him from fullback finisher to attacking fullback. For me, that's a big plus. I don't like fullback finishers. They just go wandering around, vacating their position. I don't like that at all. Attacking fullback's better. They'll be a bit more disciplined, although they will be attacking still, of course. Can play right midfield as well. This is the thing with Cancelo. You've got a choice to make. You're going to use him as a right back or a right midfielder. If you're going to use him as a right back, the concern is defensive engagement. 64 is awful. And physical contact 59 as well. So when you're defending with this guy, I think you're going to get found out at times. That's a little bit of a concern for me. The other defensive attributes are all right. The pace is decent. Unusual for someone to have higher acceleration than speed, but pace is decent on the whole. Balance is okay. Stamina is good. For a fullback, fantastic on the ball. His passing is really good, especially his lofted pass. Like with Ziyech, 91 for lofted pass, 91 for curl, and he's got pinpoint crossing. So his crossing is going to be really, really good. He's also got through passing with 84 for low pass. So again, that's really useful. So if you do play him as a right midfielder, the crossing and passing should be really good. Bunch of dribbly stuff as you'd expect, so the dribblers will like that. He's got interception, sliding tackle when he plays as a fullback as well. So yeah, it's basically a question of which position do you play him in, because if you're playing fullback, like I say, he could get found out defensively. There's a couple of real weaknesses there, but if you play him as a right midfielder, he's actually a bit weak with attacking awareness. It's not a disaster, but only 70 there. He just might not always take up the positions you want him to, so that's something to keep in mind. I have a version of him from when he played for Bayern, and my one I trained up as a right midfielder, and I don't think the pace is much higher than this, but the attacking awareness of mine, I'm sure it's mid-80s or something, so I don't know why it's so much lower here. It's a massive difference, unless I'm mistaken, so it's a strange one. It's quite a frustrating one as well if you fancy this guy as a right midfielder, but yeah, like I say, an obvious weakness playing as a wide midfielder and as a fullback, but outside of that, he does have qualities, especially with his crossing, so could be a fun card to pick up. And then finally, we have box-to-box Phil Foden. So my first thought is box-to-box. Do I want to play him as a box-to-box midfielder? No. He's not a big guy. He's not great defensively. If you've got one or two defensive midfielders behind him, yeah, sure. But if you've got one or two defensive midfielders in there, you want the rest of the midfielders to be running in that direction, attacking, not tracking back and doing the box-to-box thing. So I wouldn't use him as a centre mid. Likewise, left midfield, because box-to-box will be active there as his play style as well. But the box-to-box play style will not be active if you play him as a wide left forward, an attacking midfielder, or an SS. So for me, those are the three positions where you could play him. And I think in all three of those positions, he could be really good, especially through the middle. He's normally a creative playmaker. So not having a playstyle active in attacking midfield, SS, or as a wide left forward means that he will be a bit more aggressive with his runs forward. Creative playmakers will drop deep a little bit too often for my liking personally. It's not a bad playstyle. It's just it depends what you want from the player. For me, if I play someone in an attacking position, I don't want them dropping off and just trying to orchestrate things. I like my players to be running into spaces and getting in behind. Without that playstyle active in those attacking positions, and with 83 attacking awareness, he should make a lot of those runs. So I think this could be a really effective version of Foden. So looking at his attributes, like I say, the awareness is good. On the ball, 90 plus in all three, tremendous. Passing, 88 low pass is excellent. 72 lofted pass, not great, so his crossing won't be brilliant. Finishing 80 is pretty decent for a creative midfielder. The pace is decent, especially acceleration 87, balance 87, so he's going to be responsive. You expect that from Foden. Physical contact 71 is obviously not high, but for a little attacking guy, that's actually pretty decent. Stamina 85 is not bad. We look at his skill set. What they've added, they've given him an outside curler, interception and fighting spirit. So if you do use him as a box-to-box, interception and fighting spirit, nice ones to have. But yeah, like I say, I would be using this guy as an attacking player for sure. And he has one-touch pass and through passing, weighted pass. Outside curler is a nice one to have added, and low lofted pass as well. So yeah, you know what you're getting with Foden. He's nimble, he's responsive, he's quick, he's gonna be great on the ball, and he's going to be all about getting into spaces and playing lovely passes and making things happen, creating goals. So as a version of Phil Foden, I think the play style is significant, mainly because he won't have one active when you play him in an attacking position. And in that case, when you do play him in those attacking positions, I think it's an excellent version of Foden. I'm very keen to get this card. I think it's the best card in the pack. I think it looks really, really nice. So yeah, I think that's an interesting selection there. As with most packs, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Personally, biased towards Pope, of course, but outside of Pope, I think Goretzka, maybe Hermoso, Tomiyasu, and certainly Foden. Very good cards in there. Ziyech as well, I like a lot. So yeah, I think on the whole, there's some decent ones in there. Mixed bag. Foden, I think the best one, but there's some decent ones in there. So hopefully you found that useful. I'll be putting a few more videos up over the coming days. As I mentioned at the start of the video, there's going to be more pack reviews. There's a few packs to review. There'll be more player-based videos as well. So keep your eyes out for those. But yeah, hope you found it useful. Thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next video.